Guys, let me say something really quickly. Number one, I'm sick. I'm about on the cusp of getting sick, so if I sound a little off, that's why. Number two, I know I said I was gonna do 2 episodes this time. I might only do 1, depending on. I mean, it's early mornings. If they get up and start making noise, then I'm only gonna do 1. Either way, let's just get right into it. With Jessica's death, it became certain that the culprit was hiding somewhere nearby and that they would come after our lives if they had the chance. According to Genji-san, when tomorrow morning comes, the boat should arrive. The boat has a radio too. We'll probably be able to contact the police immediately with that. We all gathered in the parlor and decided to wait quietly until morning. I proposed that we should search throughout the mansion for clues about the culprit, but Auntie Rosa rejected that, saying that if we put pressure on the culprit or provoke them, it might lead to a 3rd murder. That was probably the right thing to do. Even if a bunch of amateurs like us investigated, there's no way we'd find out anything. It would be wisest to focus on protecting ourselves without doing anything unnecessary, and leave it to the police after morning. We had been tense in the beginning, but other than Auntie Rosa, most of us had spent all morning watching TV and were getting bored, so our sense of danger had grown much less intense. When we thought about it, even though there certainly had been 6 adults killed at once in the first murder, that made us imagine that some backhanded method like poison had been used. And in the second murder, it was thought that those 2 had become sacrifices because they were unfortunately isolated from the rest of us. From this, we imagined that there wasn't a great number of culprits, and they didn't have the ability to kill this large group gathered in the parlor all at once. Right now, in this parlor, there was George Aniki and me, Maria, Auntie Rosa, Genji-san, Goda-san, Shannon-san, Kumasawa-san, and finally, Dr. Nanjo. A total of 9 people were here. Furthermore, Auntie Rosa was even armed with a gun. Surely, with this many people staying in this room, they wouldn't be able to touch us easily. That feeling of security, along with the passage of time, allowed us to recover from the shock of that morning bit by bit. Incidentally, lunchtime had just ended for us. However, it had been a canned food lunch. A far cry from last night's dinner which Goda-san had skillfully made for us. Auntie Rosa too had suspected that poison had been used in the murder of those 6 people. So, we probably couldn't deny the possibility that the culprit had snuck into the kitchen during all that confusion in the morning and mixed poison in with the ingredients there. Auntie Rosa had ordered all of us not to put anything into our mouths except safe foods like canned food until the police came. As a cook, Goda-san must have felt very let down. As though he wanted to display his skill anyway, he said that he at least wanted to bring the plates and pile them up with canned food. At first, Auntie Rosa had been reluctant, examining each one of the plates that were brought, but she hadn't been able to find anything to complain about. And Goda-san's chef's pick canned food combo lunch had become a reality. Goda-san had said something about taste being savored, not just with the tongue, but with the eyes too. I found myself agreeing. It had been the same canned food we ate for breakfast, but it felt like something completely different.
だから見て見て、これが狼と羊のパズル。
As I was sitting lazily on the sofa with no desire to watch TV, Maria came over, pulled a picture book out of her handbag, and held it out to me as she said that.
なんだよ、その本は。狼と羊のパズル？どれどれ？
Wolves and Sheep Puzzle. It was a phrase that Auntie Rosa had said this morning when we had gone to call on Jessica. At the time, I hadn't known what it meant, and then after that, there was the uproar when Jessica's body was found, so I'd forgotten about it completely. The book that Maria held out to me looked like a foreign picture book, or something that had been translated. Opening it, I could tell that the book contained an assortment of puzzles.
何匹かの狼と羊よね。一台のボートを使って対岸まで連れてくパズルなの。
Okay.
ああ？
Wait,
そん
one
なル
book?
ールのゲームを聞いたことあるな。これはそれの狼と羊バージョンなのか。
It was a very simple puzzle, passed on from long ago. Let's try one of the problems. On the right bank, there are 2 wolves and 2 sheep. There is a boat that as many as 2 animals can ride on, and using it, you have to move all 4 of them to the opposite left bank. Okay. There are 2 rules. The first is regarding the boat. It can be paddled by wolves or sheep, and even just by 1 animal on its own, but it can only hold up to 2. The second is regarding the wolves. When they are greater in number than the sheep in that location, they attack the sheep and it's game over. For example, at the start of the game, both sheep ride the boat and go to the other side. Then one sheep gets off and the other goes back to the first bank. When it does, there are 2 wolves on the first bank, and a single sheep returns them. When that happens, there are more wolves, so the sheep is attacked and it's game over. On either bank or even the boat, there must not be more wolves. Wait a minute, on either bank or even the boat, there must not be more wolves than sheep. It's a puzzle about how to shuttle them across in the boat under these conditions. By the way, the right answer is, on the first turn, move both wolves to the opposite bank. Then 1 wolf comes back. On the second turn, move 2 sheep to the opposite bank. Then 1 wolf comes back. Then on the third turn, put that last wolf that was on the right bank on the boat and cross to the opposite bank. And congratulations, transport is successful. Partway, there may be the same number of wolves and sheep in the boat or on either side, but that isn't a problem. You only lose when the number of wolves is greater. This book symbolizes it using wolves and sheep, but there are probably lots of people who know the same game with a different symbolism. It looked like Maria wanted to test whether I too could solve the puzzle she knew how to solve. And she kept showing me different pages saying, solve this one, and this one's hard. What had been happening when Auntie Rosa had said the name of this puzzle? That's right. When we had decided to go call Jessica, we had been talking about how many men should go. And Auntie Rosa mentioned the wolves and sheep puzzle and said that we should all go together.
Oi, oi.
That could only mean one thing. Auntie Rosa was saying that there are wolves among us. And when the number of wolves and sheep is balanced, we're safe. But when a situation comes up where that isn't the case, the wolves will bare their fangs. And is that what she's thinking? At the time, we had found our parents' corpses. Auntie Rosa was already suspecting that the servants might be wolves. While she didn't know whether it was all of them or just some, she had sniffed out the possibility that wolves were hiding among them. Well, yes. That murder scene was pretty darn elaborate. It's easy to imagine that there were multiple culprits. And considering that she had the idea already in mind when we went to Jessica's room, where Jessica had been alone with a servant, Kanon, and had been killed, It isn't hard to imagine why Auntie Rosa had suspected the servants so persistently.
使用人の皆さん、合田さんが食器を洗いに厨房に戻ります。念のためです。皆さんも同行してください。
皆さん、申し訳ありません。団体行動で参りましょう。
シャノ、熊沢、行くぞ。
はいはい、ただいま。
Listen, if they were the culprits, there's a lot of them motherfuckers. I don't know if we can handle all of them.
気をつけて。あ、ローザおばさん。僕も一緒に行っていいかな。
ごめんなさい。ジョージ君は残ってくれるかしら。ちょっとお話ししたいことがあるの。
そうですか。シャノン、ごめん。
Wait a minute, wait, hold the fuck on. Who the fuck, wait a minute. Alright, I'm back. I don't know if you guys heard that, but the car outside was fucking blaring, the alarm was going off. I don't know what the fuck is going on. This is like the 5th time that shit's happened.
とにかく気をつけて。一人にならないでね。
はい。
南條先生、すみません。
They wanted to talk about something very romantic. I know!
ちょっとご相談が。
はい。
Oh, consult with the doctor. The servants put the dishes and empty cans on the serving cart and started to head out into the corridor. Is it that Rouka corridor? Behind them, Auntie Rosa was talking to Dr. Nanjo about something in a small voice.
わかりました。参りましょう。
ええ。よろしくお願いしますね。
Dr. Nanjo closed the book and he had been reading, stood from the sofa, and followed after the servants. Auntie Rosa stuck her head out into the hallway, and after watching them leave completely, she closed the door and spoke. What the hell is she gonna say?
みんな聞いて。これで今ここにいるのは、後宮の人間だけね。
確かに、そうなりますね。狼を全部追い出したってことっすか。ローザおばさん。
With that one sentence, Auntie Rosa's gaze grew sharp. Apparently, she had picked up on my sardonic tone. Auntie Rosa laughed lightly.
バトラ君は頭の回転が早いのね。賢い子は好きよ。話が早いわ。
おー、バトラー頭いいこれ解ける ?64 ページの難しいの。おー。
64, as long as it's not page 67.
マリアは少しの間テレビを見ていなさい。ママはバトラ君たちとお話があるの。
おー。
ローザおばさん、パズルの話はバトラ君に聞いたよ。用心深いのは悪いことじゃないと思うけど、さすがに疑り深すぎるのもどうかと思うよ。
真の犯人がベアトリーチェかどうかは別にして、少なくとも使用人たちがその一味であることを疑うことはできると思うの。兄さんたちが殺されていた最初の殺人、とても残酷な仕打ちがされていたわよね。あれが一人でできる真似に見える。
謎の来客、ベアトリーチェ様が夜鍋をして、チクチクやったのかもしれねえぜ。
ジェシカちゃんの部屋の扉をめぐるマスターキーの件は、使用人の誰かが関わっている証拠じゃない。
Only a master key could have locked the door to Jessica's room. In that case, we can only suppose that one of the servants locked it. No, wait.
チェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。おかしいよ、ローザおばさん。
Yes, if we are coming up with the reasoning that only a servant could have locked that room, then wouldn't the servant not do that? Because if they locked the room, then I mean, what's the point? I mean, unless they really wanted to kill Jessica at the cost of their own, life, because we're already suspecting them. If only a servant could do it, then why would a servant do it? Since they would automatically be suspected.
なんで犯人はジェシカを殺した後、
わざわざ施錠したんだ。施錠すれば、マスターキーの持ち主が疑われるのは必然。わざわざ施錠する必要がないぜ。
Right.
そうだよ。バトラ君の言う通りだ。わざわざ疑われるようなことをする理由がない。
Exactly.
うん。それは面白い考えよね。もちろん、私もそれは考えた。だとしたら、施錠した人物は使用人を疑わせたくて、マスターキーなしであの扉を閉めた。でもそれは不可能。でしょ？
That's right. If there was a trick that could lock the door without a master key, this would be a good disguise aimed at casting doubt on the servants. If the culprit wanted to isolate us and attack us one by one, this trick was a very effective one that could even give rise to paranoia. However, there was no way to lock that door without using a master key.
マスターキーを使わずに閉める方法がない。なんて、どうして言い切れるの？ルドルフ兄さんの言っていた悪魔の証明になるんじゃない？私たちには想像もつかない方法で閉められたのかもしれない。私たちに思いつかないからといって、未知のトリックがあることを否定することにはならない。
そりゃそうだけどよ。つまりあれか？疑わしきは黒ってわけなのか？
具体的なトリックはわからないけれど、それでも外角はわかるの。申し訳ないけど、カノン君を犯人だと仮定すると、非常に簡単に説明できる。死体がない理由までね。
だって、カノン君はマスターキーを持ってなかったんですよ。他の使用人ならともかく、カノン君にだけは施錠はできなかったはず。
なるほど。それでローザおばさんは、ジェシカの部屋に入って早々に、俺たちにクローゼットなんかを探せと言い出したわけか。ローザおばさんこそ、普段の様子から想像できるより、頭の回転が速いな。
妹の頭の回転速度は、常に姉マイナス1よ。今は誰にも気を使う必要がないからせいせいするわ。
George Anike realized that she was referring to Auntie Ava, and seemed a little disturbed about how he should take that nasty remark.
ごめん。僕にもわかるように説明してほしいな。カノン君のマスターキーはジェシカちゃんのポケットに入って密室に閉じ込められていた。施錠した後に部屋の外からポケットに入れるなんて芸当は不可能なはず。
違うんだよ、兄貴。ローザおばさんの想像しているやり方なら、このトリックはカノン君にしか使えない。そして、ジェシカのポケットにマスターキーを入れたまま、鍵なしで施錠することができる。そして、その結果として、死体もなくなることになる。
どうやって、鍵なしでどうやって施錠するんだい？
簡単よ。ジョージ君だって帰宅したら施錠するでしょ？つまみをひねって、カチリとね。
まさか。いや、でも、カノン君の姿はどこにも。
兄貴にもピンときたみてえだな。ローザおばさんが室内を探したのはそういうことだ。内側から鍵を閉め、ジェシカのポケットに鍵を突っ込んだカノン君が、どこかに隠れて、俺たちをやり過ごそうとしているのを探したんだ。
The simplest locked room trick. In other words, to hide inside the locked room after committing the murder. And if he could get out after those who discovered the body left, it would create a perfect locked room murder.
私たちはあの部屋を探したけれど、何も見つけられなかった。でも、だからといって、あの部屋に使用人たちしか知らない秘密の隠し通路のようなものがないとは言えない。
Ah, okay.
それがどこに隠されていたかはわからないけれど、その隠し通路を仮定し推理することで、彼しかありえないと断言できるのよ。
その推理はよ、俺も一番最初に考えた。一番嫌な推理だから。 一番最初にその可能性を潰したかった。
カノンはこの部屋で殺された。であろう？
Again with this bitch.
そなたはカノンが犯人であると疑いそうになったため、真っ先にその可能性を潰すために、これを復唱させたのだ。わかっておるわかっておる。
だから、その次に考えたのはこうだった。あの部屋にいたのは実は3人だったという説だ。ジェシカとカノン君は被害者。そして、犯人である来客ベアトリーチェも一緒にいた。という考えだ。
そなたは、人間であるわらわが、魔法を使わずに犯行を行ったことにしたいのだったな。なるほど。そなたにぴったりの陳説であるぞ。
お前は2人を殺し、内側から施錠した。そして、カノン君の死体を担いで、普通の人は気づかない秘密の方法。つまり、隠し扉を使って部屋から脱出したんだと読んだ。しかし、お前に赤で言われちまった。あの部屋に隠し扉の類はないってな。
うん。お前たちの知らない秘密の通路は存在せぬぞ。ノックスだったかバンダインだったか。何でもミステリーには秘密の通路があってはいけないらしい。そのお作法にわらわも従ったということよ。つまり名探偵は部屋を調べ尽くさずして隠し通路がないと断言できるわけだ。人間の推理ごっことはなんとお気楽なものよの。
くそ。でけえこと言いやがるぜ。ありがとよ。魔女様のお取り計らいのおかげで、俺も部屋を探し尽くさずに、あの部屋に隠し扉がないと断言できるぜ。
うん。この部屋に隠し扉はない。扉と窓以外に出入りする方法はない。
ってことはよ、今、ローザおばさんがぶってる自信満々の仮説は間違ってるってわけだ。しかも悔しいことに、この仮説は反証不能だ。魔女のお前は赤で、隠し扉はないと断言すれば、それで決着する。しかし人間の俺は、ローザおばさんにそれを反論しても、受け入れられないだろう。隠し扉がないことを人間は証明できない。悪魔の証明になっちまう。くそ。魔女ってのは便利だな。
そんな、あるかないかもわからない隠し扉を理由に、カノン君を犯人呼ばわりするなんて、僕は納得できないな。
納得できないなら、より納得できる推理を聞かせて。ないのよ。私はずっと考えてる。これしかないのよ。ジョージ君はシャノンちゃんと仲が良かったわね。だから、使用人全員が犯人であることは受け入れがたいと思うの。私も、シャノンちゃんが犯人の一味であるなんて信じたくない。でも、全員であるか否かはともかく、確実に、あの中に犯人、もしくは共犯がいるのよ。それだけは見誤っちゃダメ。
カノン君以外にも狼がいると見てたんだな。ジェシカの部屋で犯人はカノン君だと大騒ぎしたのだ。使用人たちの反応を見るためだったっていうのか。
ええ、そうよ。そしてその結果、私は一層の疑いを持つに至った。確実に使用人の中に狼がいる。確実にね。そして狼と羊のパズルのように普段はおとなしくしているけれど、チャンスがあったら襲ってくるに違いないの。ジェシカちゃんは一人で船に乗った羊よ。あのパズルでは頭数の時は襲ってこないけど、私たちのパズルは違う。チャンスと人数次第なら頭数でも襲ってくる。ジェシカちゃんが殺されたように。
僕は怒りたいことがある。じゃあ厨房へ行かされてるシャノンは危険な状態じゃないか。今すぐ僕たちも厨房へ行くべきだ。 誰が狼だろうと狼でなかろうと、僕たち全員が揃っていれば均衡するならそれを保ち続けるべきだと思う。
シャノンちゃんはお父様のところへ源氏さんと一緒に行った。その時に孤立したはずなのに殺されなかった。源氏さんも狼ではないから。違うわ、二人とも狼だったからよ。
シャノンは悪事の片棒を担ぐような人じゃない。
Okay. Just blame it. Suspected everyone.
いくらローザおばさんでもそれは聞き流せません。今の発言に対し僕は取り消しを要求します。
And I'm fighting for her honor.
兄貴の前で悪いが、その論法エヴァおばさんの雰囲気にそっくりだな。こっちが反論できなきゃ自動的に自分が正しいみたいな。やっぱり血は争えないな、おばさん。
私だって今の自分はあまり褒められたものじゃないとは思ってる。でもね、私は母なの。マリアの無事を守るためなら鬼にもなるわ。本当ならマリアと二人きりでどこかに閉じこもっていたいくらいよ。でも私は同時にあなたたちの母でもあるつもりなの。
Well, that's sweet.
今やあなたたちは私の子供も同然。私は自分の子じゃないからといってあなたたちを見捨てたりしない。絶対。
そりゃどうも。
私はあなたたちの母として油断しないでと警告したかっただけなの。常に私の目の届くところにいて私があなたたちを守ってあげる。
Oh.
ついでに俺たちが狼でないことも監視してくれるってわけだ。そりゃありがたいぜ。そういうおばさんは自分が狼ではないって証明はできるのかよ。
Oh, come on. Now we're all gonna
でき
fight.
るわ。
即答っすね。どうやって？
これよ、これが証拠よ。
The gun. Auntie Rosa held up the gun and pointed the barrel at me. That was only for an instant. She immediately lowered the gun, laughing impishly. But to me, the time I spent staring down the barrel of the gun had felt like an eternity.
その銃がどうローザおばさんが犯人でないことを証明す
Well,
ると
she
いうん
could
で
just
すか。
kill everyone in this room if she wanted to.
考えてもみて、私が犯人だったらどう使用人たちが出ていったこの千載一遇の機会を逃すと思う。あなたたちをズドンと撃ってあとは適当な言い訳をするだけよ。窓の外にベアトリーチェが現れて銃を撃ってきたと、私は2発を撃ち返したと称して2発分の空薬莢を床に捨てればいい。
そりゃすげえ乱暴な理論だが確かに一理あるぜ。
クラウス兄さんが昔よく言ってたわ。力こそ正義ってね。これがまさにそうなのかしら。ごめんなさいね、二人とも。私も今朝からの事件続きでかなり冷静さを失ってる。普段の私を知る二人から見れば今の私は余裕がなくて少し短気そうに見えるかもしれない。でも分かってる。私は悪意ある犯人からそのためには鬼になる。それだけのことなの。怒らせるようなことを言ってごめんなさいね。バトラ君、ジョージ君、仲直りしましょう。
George Aniki was wearing an unsatisfied expression. He probably couldn't forgive the damage done to Shannon's honor. What about me? Several bits of circumstantial evidence hint strongly at the servants' participation. I don't want to believe that one of them is the culprit, or possibly colluding with the culprit. But in the current situation, that's nothing but wishful thinking. Who should I believe? In the first place, who is the culprit? Are there accomplices? If so, how many? I feel like I'm constantly on it, only suspecting the people connected to all this. I find myself quickly forgetting about that 19th person. The guest, Beatrice, who came yesterday and boldly called herself the Golden Witch. I haven't actually seen her face. I heard that she's like a double of the witch in that portrait. But because I haven't seen her directly, no matter how hard I try, I can't really feel like there are 19 people on this island. so I easily slipped into the illusion that the culprit is one of the 18. Damn it. Come out, Beatrice. If you're the bad guy, then act like the bad guy and show yourself laughing in a high-pitched voice and looking down at us. Just like a bad guy in one of those dramas who, even once they're exposed as a culprit, aggressively say, "Is there any proof?"
証拠は終わりかの？
うっせえ。てめえはしばらく黙ってろ。
You know what? Funny that it's raining. It's actually about to rain where I'm at right now, where I live, and I have clothes outside drying. I have to go pick them up. Okay, I'm back. One more thing I want to say. Today is Valentine's Day. I'm not doing anything today. Are you guys doing anything? There were 5 humans in the kitchen, but it was very quiet, filled only with the sound of the rain. It was only accented by the sound of Shannon and Kumasawa washing the dishes. Golda was using the leftovers from breakfast and lunch as ingredients for her servant soup. Rosa had suspected that poison might have been added to the food, so they had decided to eat canned food, but it hadn't really been formed. But Golda thought that she was being too careful, so he was spontaneously creating a soup to be served only to those that wanted to eat it. Shannon and Kumasawa were washing the dishes, but the food had been arranged on. On the inside, they thought that maybe Golda should be the one to wash them, since he had been the one who wanted the food on plates in the first place. But they left their complaints unsaid for the time being. Genji and Nanja were facing each other across the crude chess set, which had been seen many years. It had still only just begun. And because the opening game of the experienced players had been endlessly refined, it looked like a ritual where they just moved specified pieces in a specified order.
良い匂いですね。やはり缶詰ではこうはいきませんね。
開封した食材だけで作りましたので、毒が混入しているなんてことはありませんよ。皆さんの分もお作りしていますので、ぜひ食べましょう。もちろん私もお毒にしますよ。安心して召し上がってください。
本当にいい匂いですね。合田さんのまかない料理は本当に美味しいです。
美味しい材料を買ってきて、美味しい料理が作れるのは当たり前です。私は師匠にあり合わせのもので美味しく作るまかない料理を極めてこそ真の料理人だと習いました。
それはいい師匠でしたな。おかげで私はとても美味しいスープをごちそうになれそうです。
Right. I mean, you never know what ingredients you'll have at hand.
親族の皆様にお召し上がりいただくための材料で作ることになってしまったのは残念です。
ローザさんも朝からのいろいろでお疲れなのでしょう。無理もないことです。
でもそのおかげで美味しい食材のスープが飲めるのですからね。
Rosa had fervently told everyone that they didn't realize the danger they were in, and that they must suspect that poison was mixed in with the food. The atmosphere in that place had led to their agreement, but their hunger wouldn't be overcome by that momentary emotion.
皮肉にも普段の私たちではとても味わえないスープとなりました。できるなら客間の皆さんにもぜひ振る舞いたいところなのですが。
ローザ様のご指示に背いている以上、よした方がいいだろう。飲みたいものだけ飲むという。
見えないところで上手に息抜きするのも使用人の心得でございますものね。
Yeah, Kumasawa laughed loudly, and Shannon and Goda laughed with her. It seemed that, in an area where only their fellow servants were gathered, they could be very relaxed. Well, that's sweet. Kanon didn't like Golda's occasional dishonesty. No, Shannon! didn't like Gora's Akizma dishonesty, but she knew that there was no falsehood in his childish smile when he cooked, nor in his desire that people enjoy his food. So even though it was a little aggravating to be made to wash the dishes, she couldn't really hate him. However, they couldn't have dreamed that Rosa was calling them wolves in the parlor at exactly the same moment that they were spending their time peacefully like this. Well, I mean, can you blame her? I mean, everything that happened, I mean, shit. At that time, several of the servants heard a sound like something was being dragged, and then a thump. When a servant was out carrying a mountain of trash bags on a rainy day, or doing some work in a raincoat, they could create exactly this kind of noise and presence as they returned and hovered around the back door. So after hearing that sound at first, none of them noticed anything out of the ordinary. But they quickly realized, in a situation where everyone was either in the kitchen or the parlor, who in the fuck was at the back door? Okay, this is starting to get a little creepy. As the servants all looked at each other, they checked to make sure that each one of them knew what the sound meant. Oh, bitch. Oh, for some reason, her speaking in that fear, in her voice, is making it even scarier and real. The servants knew the mansion's layout well, so they understood how unimaginable it would be for someone from the parlor to actually go outside in this typhoon, go all the way around and come up to this back door. Then was it Kinzo? They found it even more difficult to imagine that Kinzo, who never left his study, even under normal conditions, would dash out into the middle of this typhoon for no apparent reason, come to the back of the house where only low-class people came in and out. Oh, baby. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Dude, is it the guest, Beatrice? Shannon and Kumasawa drew close together, fearfully looking at the back door. As Goda fearfully approached the back door, he called out, "Oh, fuck," he screaming out, and then he checked with his eyes the location of the butcher's knife set on a nearby sink. He didn't pick it up yet, because there was still a possibility that this was a member of the family. However, that possibility was impossible. There was no response from across the door to Golda's initial question. Maybe his voice had been so quiet that it hadn't reached through all the wind and rain outside.
Genji-san. 南條先生と女たちは下がった。
一体どなたなんですかな?
Genji took a knife with a classical design from a stationary box placed near the chest set. It was something to be used instead of a paper knife to open envelopes for invoices and bills. Okay, but it was fundamentally a knife, so the blade on it could injure someone. Genji hid it in his sleeve with a well-practiced manner. Then he too approached the back door and signaled to Goda with a silent nod. Goda cautiously approached the back door and slowly started to open it. Bitch, my boy, I didn't expect them to take taking charge. The figure of a person suddenly shuffled into sight, landed on its knees, and fell over. Goda fell backwards onto his backside in shock. That figure was soaked with rain, smeared with mud, and drenched with blood. I fucking knew it was gonna be Kanon! Kanon, I mean. Kanon.
大丈夫か? 南條先生.
Right! It was Kanon. His breath was feeble, and the puddles of mud he left quickly became drenched bright red. When Danjo held him and turned his face up, there was a deep, gruesome scar right in the center of his chest, as though he had been run through with a spear or something. Even now, deep red blood poured out from him.
これはひどいですよ。どうしましょう。救急箱ですか？救急箱ですか？
カノンさん、傷口に手を当ててしっかり押さえてください。 使用人室のベッドに運びましょう。皆さん手を貸してください。
Oh fuck.
さ
Nah, it's
さ
so
カノンさん、しばらく我慢してください。
しっかりして。もう大丈夫よ。だから傷口から手を離さないで。
Right, put pressure on it. Don't let that shit,
と
don't
に
let the
かく
blood
使
come
用
out.
人室へ
Don't
運
let
ぼう。
it circulate.
熊沢ローザ様にカノンが見つかったことの報告を。
Oh, my boy's still speaking.
ローザ様にはダメ。
待ってください。カノンさんがローザ様にはダメだと言っています。
Why not?
どういう意味なの、カノン君。
今はいい。早く使用人室へ運ぼう。熊沢、ローザ様にはまだお伝えする。
Oh,
カノン
what?
に事情を聞いてからにする。
Oh, Kumasawa. After appearing in this horrible state, he had said not to tell Rosa. That could only mean something very disquieting. An eerie sense of panic rose to their faces.
さあ皆さん、急いで運びましょう。早く早く。
Oh, fuck. What's gonna happen here? That's not canon, isn't it? I swear, there has to be Beatrice, like, puppeting his corpse. Ganon's wound was unbelievably deep. And judging from Najo's pale face, it was almost a miracle that he was still conscious.
これはひどい。何か槍のようなもので刺されたようです。肺まで届いてなければなんとか持つかも。
Oh, fucking hope so.
とにかく止血を。
Did it, oh, fuck. No matter how much Nanjo tried to wipe off that gushing deep red blood, he couldn't wipe it. He couldn't wipe it. He couldn't wipe it. He couldn't wipe it all away. And each time, the wound was aggravated, causing Kanon to cry in anguish.
カノン君、カノン君、カノン君。しっかりして。しっかりして。
南條先生、替えのタオルです。なんてむごい。
容体はどうですか。
本音を言うと生きているのが信じられん深手だ。刺されどころが幸運だったのかもしれん。だが出血がひどすぎる。輸血が必要だが明日まで無理だ。
We just gotta press on. We just gotta keep pressing on his chest.
ローザ様が僕たちを。
喋らないで、カノン君。傷口が開いちゃ
う。ローザ様がやってきて、お嬢様と僕は。
なんですって。
ローザ様がですか。そんなことって。
Dude, what if they get put against that? Is that the fucking what they're trying to do?
間違いないのか。
はい、間違いなくローザ様でした。
Are they trying to put them against each other? What the
もう
hell?
喋らないで。熊沢さん、もう一つの救急箱を取ってください。
Stupefaction. This fucking song right here, dude. I love this one.
ローザ様がなんてことはあり得るのでしょうか。
Hell
わからん。
Disregarding Nanjo and Kumasawa, who were struggling hard and stained with blood as they tried to stop the bleeding, Genji and Goda faced each other. Because if what Ganon had said was the truth, Rosa was the culprit who killed Jessica.
おのれ、ローザめ。よくもお嬢様を殺してやる。
Ganon screamed even more hatefully. His hate-filled voice made it seem like he had seen Jessica being harmed right before his eyes.
確かにローザ様がお嬢様を殺す理由はあるかもしれない。 後ろ宮家が全滅すれば遺産は全てローザ様のもの。
Well, we're getting to conspiracy.
だとしたらバトラー様やジョージ様も危険なのでは。ローザ様は銃を持っている上に今客間には彼らしかいない。源氏さん、これはかなりまずいことでは。
Ow. Oh, fuck me. This is the worst situation ever, dude. Oh, George and Shannon, they're fucking love. She's gonna run in there and get gunned down. Because what is fucking Rosa gonna think when she sees Shannon busting the fucking door open? Her expression was complex and tragic, as though she didn't know what to believe. Shannon ran. To where? The inside of the mansion had been scrupulously cleaned, so they probably wouldn't be easy to find. She might find some if she searched the rose garden, but they would probably have all been lost in this wind and rain. That's right, the boiler room isn't cleaned very often. If she went there, she might be able to find some. Shannon ran down the stairs to reach for those in the underground boiler room. Had some medicine taken effect at the brink of death? Or had Kanon finally stopped even feeling pain? For the time being, Kanon had at least gotten over his painful gasping. Nanjo apparently didn't think of this as that great of a trend, and didn't let his eyes off Kanon for a second. Kumasawa firmly gripped Kanon's hand and kept encouraging him so that his will to stay alive didn't fall asleep. Genji and Golda seemed bewildered at how to deal with the truth that Kanon had risked his life to deliver.
ローザ様の銃は確か4発か5発の弾が込められたはずだ。
決して少ない数ではないですね。でもあの銃は弾の装填に結構な慣れが必要だったはず。一発目は撃たせてしまうかもしれませんが、みんなで襲いかかれば次を撃たせずに銃を奪い取れるかも。
Oh,
この島には医者はいても薬はなく、病院もない。撃たれどころが悪ければ死ぬぞ。
それは分かっていますが、それより早く行動を起こさないとまた次の事件が起こる可能性も。私たちはローザ様にうまく追い出された気がします。今頃ジョージ様やバトラ様が殺されている可能性も。
そんな危険な相手なら無理に刺激しない方がいいんじゃありませんか。
しかし明日までは長い。どんな手を打ってくるか想像もつきませんよ。源氏さん、こちらから仕掛けるべきです。せめて銃さえ理由をこじつけて奪えばなんとかなるかも。
弾は 4,5 発じゃありませんか。ということは私たち全員を殺すには足りないということです。迂闊に刺激しなければきっとローザ様もむやみには。
Oh man, a conspiracy.
あいつは言ったよ。僕たちを皆殺しにすると言った。
Ah, fan in the flames. Kanon, who they thought had been sleeping quietly, suddenly started talking brightly, almost like he had been awake the whole time, and had suddenly opened his mouth. He looked firm and steady, and Nanjo was slightly relieved, but thinking of the deepness of that wound, he couldn't just wipe away a certain creepy feeling. He knew because he was a doctor. Kanon should have been expected to fall unconscious after losing so much blood, and yet somehow he had preserved his awareness so clearly. Youth or tenacity. Sometimes the power of human life did surpass common knowledge. When they had stopped the bleeding, to make sure there were no foreign objects inside the affected area, Nanjo had groped around a bit inside the bleeding hole with tweezers, and the great depth of the wound had surprised him. The wound had certainly reached as far as his lungs, and yet, no. On the other hand, the fact that he is alive is fortunate. but Kanon has spoken clearly. He had hatefully said that the one named Rosa had created this wound and was repeating curses and enraged words.
あいつは親方様の財産を独り占めするために、台風が過ぎ去るまでにどんな手を使ってでも
Dude, what did I
皆
tell
殺し
you?
にする気なの。
Look at his what the hell? Who the hell is controlling Beatrice? Dude, look at his eyes!
あいつはそうするとはっきり僕に言ったよ。
くそ、なんて人だ。源氏さん、どうしましょう。私たちにも何か武器がいるのでは。
にわかには信じられん。
Me either.
王座様がそのようなことを。
源氏様、信じる信じないじゃない。あいつが僕に、そこの僕が聞いたんです。どうして信じてくれないんですか。
起きないで。傷に触ります。
Kanon sat up on the bed and spoke to Genji, who was making no effort to believe Kanon's story.
あいつは僕たちを必ず全員殺す。もうきっと客間の方々も殺されているに違いありません。僕らが先に殺さなければ必ず僕らが先に殺される。僕が先に殺されたようにみんなも先に殺される。殺さなきゃ殺される。
But you're still alive. What do you mean killed?
殺さなきゃ殺される。殺さなきゃ殺される。
Listen, they're doing some crazy shit here. They really are.
カノンさん、あんた本当に痛くないのか。
ああ、これですか。大した傷じゃありません。
What in the fuck?
大した傷じゃないどころか、あんたは
本当に大したことありません。こんなのもう全然痛くないし、本当に大した傷じゃない。
As Kanon said that, he began to untie his own bandages, which had been painstakingly wrapped. The gruesome hole in his chest was immediately exposed.
カノンさん、そんなことをしてはダメですよ。早く横になって。
大丈夫ですって。ほら、ね、大した傷じゃないでしょ。
What the fuck? Kanon showed off his gaping wound, which was still slowly spitting out foamy blood. Ugh. Everyone averted their eyes reflexively.
ほら、全然大した傷じゃないですって。
やめなさい。傷をいじってはいけません。
ほら、見て。全然深い傷じゃないんですよ。ほら。ほら。
Kanon held up two fingers, showed them to everyone, and slowly started to stick them into the gruesome wound right in the center of his chest. Plunging, slimy, squishy, wet. The fingers went in deep to the base. Squish, glue, blood. He lost his fucking mind!
カノンさん、やめて。
Is what they must
や
be
め
thinking.
て。
Having stuck his fingers completely into his chest, up to their base, he slowly pulled them out in exactly the same way. The fingers he pulled out were stained a sticky, solid, deep red color, and there was even a thread hanging. The fingers were all the way to their base, covered in deep red. My boy is so freaked out.
ね、全然大した傷じゃないでしょ。
Oh, now he's laughing. Dude, this is scared to fucking imagine this shit. Just then, the door opened vigorously and Shannon appeared. Even after she saw Kanon stained with fresh blood, her impregnable expression didn't
や
falter.
あ、姉さん、どこへ行っていたの。僕が既得だというのに、一体どこへ。
ボイラー室に行ってきたの。探し物があって。
She does look like she's full of determination.
確かめたいの。あなたは本当に カノン君。
It was only natural. Everyone believed he was kanon, so they couldn't understand the meaning of Shannon's question. When they looked, they noticed that Shannon was holding a handkerchief in her hand. It was filthy and looked like she had wiped up some trash or dust. And while holding that, she approached Ganon and drew close to his leg.
なんだいそれは。
雲の巣を拭き取ったハンカチよ。
なんでそんなもの。
カノン君なら平気だろうけど、もしあなたにとって雲が天敵だったなら嫌うかなって思って。
Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute.
やだな。僕がどうして雲を切るの。
ごめん、試すの。
シャノンさん。
What the hell? When Shannon brought that handkerchief close to Kanon's thighs, something happened in an instant. It happened all at once. The human eye couldn't have followed it. Kanon jumped back like a wild goat, fleeing from the thing Shannon was holding, and his arm drew trails with some kind of afterglow that flashed purple. There were 3 beautiful purple trails, drawn in an arc, and they were traced across the throats of Nanjo and Kumasawa, who had been tending to him. And Nanjo and Kumasawa's throats had opened like gaping wounds, and it was the very instant before the blood was about to start spewing out. The 3rd purple trail should have traced across Shannon's throat, but Shannon wasn't there, because Genji, who had been behind her, had wrapped his own arm around Shannon's neck and pulled her back. This all happened in an instant. Wait. Holy fuck. Holy shit. In that instant, Golda tried to think fast in an attempt to understand this scene, the frozen moment in the time. Dude, my head, I'm lightheaded right now. Blood spewed forcefully from Nanjo and Kumasawa's necks, which had been torn open. Still mid-jump, Ganon wall kicked off a picture frame that had been hanging from the wall behind him, springing forward just like a cat and aiming for Shannon's throat again. But Ganon's target once again disappeared from in front of him, because Genji had pulled Shannon again, and the 2 of them had fallen onto the ground, keeping flat on the floor.
いい反射神経だ。この老いぼれ家具が。
ゴダ。
Golda wasn't an idiot either. Even if he couldn't fully understand what was going on, he at least realized that if this Kanon wasn't seized, his own life would be in peril. He sprung at Kanon with his huge body, pushing him up against the wall with his weight and physical strength. Come on, Golda! Fucking detain him! Fat ass! The tips of the fingers on Kanon's right hand began to trace out another purple trail. And when he raised that blade hand up, aiming to strike at Golda's back, it was a loud thunk, because Kanon raised blade hand had been pinned to the wall. He couldn't tear his palm away from the wall. Sticking out from it was the knife Genji had thrown. What? Under normal circumstances, it should have been surprising to see someone as old as Genji handle a knife so skillfully. But in this abnormal space, no one paid it much mind.
Genji-sama, これを。
Genji took the handkerchief with the spider web stuck to it from Shannon, and he approached Ganon, who was pinned to the wall by Golda's massive body and the knife.
やめろ。それは近づけるな。
What the fuck?
やめろ。
Why is he? Because Beatrice, the fucking golden butterfly, is about to get trapped in this web. Sounds like he's being fucking burned with a metal rod. Yo. When Genji pushed the handkerchief up to Ganon's face, there was a sound just like the one you hear when you set meat on a red-hot iron plate. Exactly, that's what I was saying. Of course, the smell was the same too. and he was burned and inflamed, festering in filthy red and black, and cried out in his death throes. Kanon's body burst open and scattered. What? It was almost as though a balloon filled with gold leaf had popped. The entire servant room was completely buried under a storm of gold leaf, a rabble of gold butterflies. Wow, dude, that bitch really tried to do something here. Those butterflies began to softly fade into nothingness, as though dissolving into water. No, the air itself. And afterwards, all that was left was the three of them sitting on their behinds, stained with blood. However, not everyone was just stained with blood. Some of them were lying on the ground, vomiting blood themselves. It slit so sharp that it looked like it could cut your finger if you touched it. It was open wide, causing large amount of blood to keep pouring out.
何だったんだ。いや、今のは。
ゴーダ、怪我はないか。
私は大丈夫です。しかし、私たちは何を見たんだ。何があったんです。私はあれを確かにこの手でこの壁に押し付けていたのに、その私が。Bitch,
it's some crazy ass shit. It's some crazy ass. Goda looked at his own hands. The bright red blood left from his scuffle with Kanon definitely remained, and yet Kanon was nowhere to be seen because he had disappeared. He had turned into gold butterflies and scattered. Goda kept screaming alone, but he had no clue about what was going on. Shannon sobbed in front of Nanjo and Kumasawa's remains, and Genji watched over her, silent as always. Wow, dude, what an episode. Dude, this... Why are we so zoomed in? Oh, this is exactly as that was happening. Okay. I know I said I was probably gonna do another one. Okay, I'm sorry. It's only gonna be this one for now. Dude, the beat though. I fucking love that song. I'm gonna end it right here. I'm definitely gonna do another. I'm probably gonna do another one or two more today. I just have to end it right now. I'm very hungry. I feel a little sick. I've been. Oh my. I just. Guys, thank you for watching. Happy Valentine's Day too. Whatever you can do.